Hi guys. I'm just gonna let this go for a few minutes. I'm waiting for Tristan to join me. We've tried Q&As in the past. Come sit, Tris. We've tried Q&As in the past, but it just doesn't seem to match everyone's schedules. So I think we're gonna try and do Q&As on Sundays in the afternoons. So let us know if that works for you. But go ahead. Hi, Jasmine. Hey, we have one person. There we go. Hi, Sherry. So we have two. Remember, guys, if you have any questions, just shoot them our way. Otherwise, we're just going to start talking about stuff. So anything you want to bring up, Tris, before we get into this?
About what?
Just programs, what you've been seeing. If you guys have any questions, just shout them out, okay?
So this may not even be the right place to say this, because if you're watching this, you're probably pretty involved. But what we have been finding is that we're getting a lot of really great feedback from the people who are really engaging the program.
Yeah.
Big shocker, right? But we've heard from one or two people who have sort of been half-baked doing it, and they're kind of frustrated with the results. Whereas everyone we've heard from who is doing everything seems to be having really good results with it. That's, not entirely true. Some cases are more complicated, but for the most part, it does seem like the more you do it, the better the results are.
Right.
So if you're not doing it all the way and you're not happy with what your results are, go in. Just go all the way in, head first.
Well, and you guys, and we're here to talk about it too. So let's say you're doing it 50% and you're getting 50% results and you're frustrated with those results. Like, let's regroup and say, okay, let's try 100%. What does that look like? What changes do you need to make? We're a really good soundboard, and we can help you come up with solutions and answers to that too. Because again, the more you work, like, what is that saying? Drastic change brings around drastic results. And so
I think you made that up.
Did I? No, I got that from a movie somewhere. Maybe I made it up.
Radical
I don't know.
Change requires radical action.
Where'd you get that from? Is that a movie, or did you make it up
It's
right
probably
now?
Karate Kid. I don't know. But that's the concept. You've heard it before.
You get it, right? And so what's the point of the program? So this, like, I'm not even kidding. We have people sign up to the program and not do a single thing. And you guys are going to think this is super creepy. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say it now. We can see how often you sign in. We can see what you've downloaded. We can see pages that you've gone to. So we can see the action you're doing.
We're not judging
I'm
you.
sorry. We're not judging you, I promise. So when we do get someone that comes and complains and they're like, this isn't working, we can see what you're downloading.
Or what you're not downloading.
And what you're not
is
downloading.
Usually the case.
So we can see if you're working the program. And we're not saying that to shame you, I promise.
In fact, we take some of the responsibility on ourselves, because we clearly, in those cases, we are not engaging them in the right way for them to stay engaged.
Or people engage in different ways. So for some people, the Voxer group works fantastically. For other people, the Facebook group works fantastically. That's why we have been trying to explore multiple avenues of communication. That's why we hired on Katie, so that she outreaches to you guys. And if you feel like you're not getting support from us, she's a member coordinator. Like, reach out to her. You know what I mean? Like, we want you to succeed, and we are trying to hit every single button possible to make sure that happens. So we love your guys' feedback. We love how you guys are working the program. We can see how you're working the program and what you're downloading and what you're not downloading. But again, if you're overwhelmed, like, we want to know that so we can help you. Because again, this program, zero shame. Like, all we want is support and positive reinforcement, okay? So again, if you guys have any questions, like, hi, there you go. Let's get you your gum real fast. My kids are obsessed with gum. I really like having lots of avenues of support that I can engage in. It all keeps me involved and encouraged every day. Awesome. I'm so glad. Jasmine, if you have any other, like, if you're like, what about this platform, or how about communicating here, or like, let us know. You guys, like I said, we are trying to infiltrate every aspect of support and communication The only thing we can't do is move into your house and cut up the veggies and prep the food for you.
Yeah.
So that's it. Like, we can't do that. But we're trying to make this as intuitive as possible with the videos we've been making, with the tutorials we've been making, with the classes we've been making.
And the Voxer support.
The Voxer stuff. Sherry, are you saying dang because I can't move into your house? So you can move into my house. We could do like a camp. Do you know what I mean? Maybe we should, like, the summertime, do like a summer gutsy health camp or something. I'm just kidding, because that would be very boring. But that would be kind of fun. Like, do a camp out or something and eat healthy food.
Maybe a retreat sometime.
Or a retreat would be so fun. Oh my gosh. Or like a weekend conference of healthy food classes and meditation.
Let's call it a retreat.
Oh, okay, never mind. Let's call it a retreat. Let's call it a retreat. Guys, any other feedback, any other concerns? What more do you want from this program? Like, do you guys like this Q&A thing going on? Like, should we keep this on Sundays at 5:00? I'm having a hard time staying on track, working full-time attorney and with a 15-month. Oh my gosh, that's so hard. So how do we support that? Because, so what's going to be most important, Sadia, is weekend prep. So maybe we should talk individually and like brainstorm. But if you guys have any ideas on how to help her, like what has been helping you guys? Another thing, Sadia, and you guys, I know this is like first world problem, to help me like clean up my house and my kitchen so that I can get my work done, because we're full-time workers as well. We have 2 children. Maybe that is an option for you. If like, and you can get someone young and pay them like $10 an hour to do your dishes, cut your vegetables on the weekend, maybe babysit your 15-month-old. But that's just what we've had to do. We hire someone about how many hours a week? 10 to 15. But again, you only need like 5 hours on the weekend. So if you can find someone who's about 16 years old, pay them 10 or $12 an hour, and have them do the meal prep protocol. You know what I mean? Like, have them, like, because literally all they need to do is get the shopping list, like get the meal prep protocol, and they can do it all for you. So is that a good suggestion? I really want to do everything, but making everything from scratch is hard. That is a good idea. Okay, I'm so glad, you guys. Sometimes I feel like it's like, oh yeah, we hired someone to do this. And I feel like I should be able to do everything, but you guys, we can't. Like, especially as women, we feel like we should take care of the kids, we should work, we should clean the house. I can't do that anymore. Like, we work full time. I'm trying to give my kids all of my spare free time. You know, if you guys have probably noticed this week, I've been almost completely absent in the conversations because I've been so far behind with work and with trying to connect with my children, and they have been feeling that. So it's a hard shuffling game that we women play. And so I really want to say, for all of you here that are doing this and you want to do it and you want it to succeed and you're trying, that is incredible. And like, I just take my hat off to you guys. Do you have anything else to say about that?
Sometimes there are compromises you can make when it comes to the actual menus. For instance, if it's wanting you to make a certain sauce, maybe you can buy the sauce pre-made.
Yeah.
Or, you know, instead of getting the raw chicken and cooking it and then doing the broth from that, you can get a pre-cooked fryer, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, I'm not going to pretend that suddenly makes all the meal prep stress go away, but
yeah.
It can certainly help, and, you know, every little bit does help.
Guys, buying bone broth, there's no shame in that.
Yeah.
That takes some time. That takes an extra chicken. If you don't want to spend the extra $15 on a chicken, if you don't want to take the few hours, because that's a little time consuming, buy the broth. So one company, someone was asking earlier this week about a good broth company, Kettle and Fire. They're really, really good.
They're fine. I mean, honestly, they're a national brand, and I don't know if there are a whole lot of national brands that can do the same quality and care in their products as a local producer can. But as far as the national companies go, they definitely fall on the right side of the line.
So, Sadia, I want to go back to your question. Where do you live? Because I could do like a big blurb on Instagram and be like, hey, anybody wanting a job helping meal prep on the weekend for a mom of a 15-month-old.
I don't know if she's local. So
She's in Texas. Aren't you in
Yeah.
Texas? So if
It's
you're
like
still
Houston
watching,
or something like that.
because I swear there's a lot of Texans that follow me on Instagram. I don't know. But Dallas, Fort Worth.
Oh, Dallas, that's right, Dallas.
I mean, like, if you want, I can do like a little like shout out because you have a sister that lives in Dallas. Okay, let me do a shout out. Can you message me in our we used to live in Texas. Did you guys know that? Will you message me in our Voxer group app where exactly you live so I can ask people on Instagram?
Well, not exactly, just which part of DFW.
Okay.
We don't want your address right now.
We have a question from Kimberly. When trying to do research for myself as well as get help from you, where do I go? I can look at Google, but I feel like there are always opposing views on everything I research. Soy is good, soy is bad. That is so hard. Okay, you go, Tris, because you are the info.
So
Tristan's really smart, guys.
it has nothing to do with intelligence. I just spent way too much time in graduate school.
It's true.
And this is all I have to show for it.
10 years.
So
It was fun.
Probably the best thing you can do is find an authority that you trust. And I'm
Yeah.
saying this as someone who doesn't trust much authority at all. But
It's true.
if you can find somebody who you believe knows what they're talking about, they generally share your philosophy on nutrition and health and all of that, then that is always a really good starting point. And then a lot of times, if they're good, they'll have sources to back up the stuff that they say and claim. And you can go and you can verify those sources. And I recommend doing that because there are some supposed experts that do sources, and the sources don't actually agree with what they say.
Yep.
And they just, I'm guessing they count on the fact that no one's actually going to fact check them, so they get away with it. But in our case,
who are our trusted
yes.
sources?
So in our case, we really trust Chris Kresser because we've been following him for a long time, and he does his research. He is so good at research.
Yeah.
And so when he makes a claim, I know that there's some research foundation for it, but I also agree with his philosophy because there are other people like Dr. Greger from Nutrition Facts who he does his research as well, but he holds a very specific slant, which is that he is a vegan proponent.
So Chris Kresser used to be vegan, you guys.
Right.
So he tried veganism for years. He got extremely sick, and that's why he had to research it.
Right.
And so
yes, both of these guys, they're going to have their own bias. There's no getting away from that. But I know that Dr. Greger's bias is towards veganism, and he's going to essentially ignore all the research that doesn't agree with veganism. And that's what I've seen from him over the years I've been following him. Chris Kresser is a lot more nuanced with it. While, yes, he's definitely a proponent of all the traditional foods, including animal products, but he does acknowledge the existence of data that disagrees with it, and he goes into the methodology of that and talks about where that disagreement comes from and whether it is a valuable thing to pay attention to. So we really like Chris Kresser. We really like anything from the Weston A. Price Foundation.
You like Chris Masterjohn. He is very technical, though. So if you're looking for technical information,
Chris Masterjohn.
so Chris
will
Masterjohn
melt your
has a PhD in nutrition. He also used to be vegan and got really sick as well. So he's researched why that happens. He gets really into the weeds of like genetics
Yes.
and micro-managing nutrients and stuff.
And he is not anti-vegan by
He's
any
not,
means. He actually
And we aren't either. You know, it's just if you are vegan and you want to do it right, it's like a full-time job.
Right.
No, that's actually not true. Like it can be harder, and there are long-term repercussions that can happen if you're not careful. So you need to be careful about veganism.
Right. There's less room for error when you're doing something like that. But the same thing would go for like the carnivore diet if you're doing nothing but meat. There's a lot less room for error, and that can make you very sick in the long term. So anyway, Chris Masterjohn is great. He is about to release a book. It's called Vitamins and Minerals 101, and it's actually written to a broad audience. And the concept behind the book is how to make sure you meet your nutrient needs no matter what diet you're on. He covers carnivore, he covers vegan, he covers paleo, the whole thing. So he really is a good source of information, but he can get so detailed that you will just zone out.
So I want to come back to veganism and bioavailability and absorbing, but there are some questions here, so I'm going to quickly answer. Also, Kimberly, did that answer your question? Here's another question. When fasting, is bone broth okay if you need a little something to get by without ruining the fast? Absolutely.
Well,
Wait,
there's
I
always a
say
caveat.
yes.
It
I say
depends.
yes.
Depends on your goal of the fast. If your goal is to get into phagocytosis, where you're actually recycling bad cells, then bone broth will disrupt that and prevent it from taking place. If your goal, though, is ketosis, where your body is burning fat instead of carbs for fuel, then absolutely it's going to be just fine. Restore your gut digestion, then it should be fine as long as you're not sipping it like constantly. You want to have breaks in between cups of broth.
Okay, let me see. My husband recently switched to becoming a vegetarian. I will just have you two as my mentors forever. So I hope we're all in each other's lives forever. So I want to quickly touch on, and Tristan will touch on this too. Sorry, Satori needs to go to the restroom real fast. About veganism and vegetarianism. I think vegetarianism can work very well on a few things. If you have a stellar digestion, if you haven't grown babies recently, because here's why. Most of us, and a lot of you here listening, actually have GI issues where you're not absorbing, you're not digesting well. That's why you're in this program, right? Because we're trying to heal that. And so when it comes to vegan or vegetarian protein, it requires more digestibility, and it takes longer, or it's harder to absorb. So if you're a very healthy person, or you work on being a very healthy person, if you digest really well, if you have minimal GI distress, then you can absorb that protein. Now, when we're dealing with the standard American diet, and most people are American that have had some trauma to their bodies because of what we've been eating, you don't absorb well, you don't break down fiber well, you don't break down lectins very well, and so you're at a deficit. So if you say, I'm gonna go vegetarian or vegan, and you're saying, but I'm having 80 grams of protein a day, why am I not healing fast enough? It's because you're only absorbing like 40% of that. Whereas, and it depends on the protein as well, right? But if you are saying, okay, I'm trying to heal my body and I'm gonna do paleo, plant-based protein, let's say you're getting not plant-based protein, animal-based protein, let's say you're eating 80 grams, just like the vegetarian, you're gonna absorb closer to like 60 to 80% of that. So faster healing and absorbing time when it comes to more of a animal-based, not animal-based, because again, all of our meal plans, you guys, are actually cooked veggie-based, right? And like the smoothie base. But when it comes to proteins, it's actually easier for your body to metabolize and break down and absorb animal protein than it is to absorb plant-based protein. Now let's talk about protein shakes, because I know in that documentary, what was it called? The Game Changers, is that the one with the vegan athletes? The one weightlifting athlete, he has like 6 soy protein shakes a day. Now, if you and I had 6 soy protein shakes a day, that would make us very sick. I'm not sure if you guys know that the Clean Label Project 2 years ago came out with this massive third-party testing on protein shakes, and they found that organic vegetarian-based protein shakes actually had the highest amount of heavy metals than the whey protein and the inorganic protein, vegan protein shakes. So if a lot of you have counseled with me with a hair analysis or something, you guys know I actually don't like protein shakes at all. I don't like them. I think they are overly processed. They can create a delayed spike in blood sugar. My only protein powders that I actually really like so far, and I'm actually going to get them third-party tested soon because no one's done that yet, and I don't know why, are collagen protein powders. I like them. I don't love them. Again, that's why I prefer people make their own, but to me, they're acceptable for now. So I don't expect anyone to be like a perfectionist in any way, shape, or form. These are just things that we've come across that I want you guys to be able to have. Let me see. Let me go back here. I will have you, blah, blah, blah. Vegetarianism doesn't work for people with thyroid issues and leaky gut. No, and for the reasons that I mentioned, because if you have leaky gut, you cannot, how do you absorb protein from beans that are high in lectins, lots of fiber, when your gut is so inflamed it can't even deal with that kind of fiber, right? Whereas with animal-based protein, a lot easier to absorb. Sadia, if I answered that well, will you like give me a thumbs up? The standard American diet includes some sort of meat, poultry product at every meal. Is that necessary? It is not necessary. I think that is can be a little excessive.
But it's not the primary problem with the standard American diet.
Yeah.
The issue with the standard American diet is that it uses way too many processed foods, way too much added sugar, and just generally too much fast food. And it's all of that really ruins people, along with the terrible seed-based oils that's used in everything. That kind of goes right back to the processed foods. So really, when it comes to animal products or animal products, it makes a far greater difference where that product comes from than it does whether it's animal-based or not, okay? So conventionally raised meat is terrible. The stuff that comes from the CAFOs, it's bad for you in every way. It's
inflammatory. You are what your food eats, right?
It's because of what the food eats. It's because of how they kill the food. It's because of how it's raised. It's because of how they treat the meat after it's been culled from the animals. All of it is just terrible.
Let's go through like a story on how meat is raised, right? Like in a conventional American farm. So the calf is pulled away from the mom immediately, fed tons of corn in really unhygienic states, like they're literally standing in their own poop. They're traumatized, inhumanely treated. So again, they're fed corn to put weight on really fast, right? It's cheap food, high calorie. They then give them antibiotics. And so now we have corn-fed, antibiotic-injected meat.
Well, corn and soy fed.
Corn and soy fed, which is both very inflammatory. And then they slaughter those animals that now have a lot of cortisol surging through their system because, again, they're under stress, right? And so now we're eating meat that has been fed corn, soy, has antibiotics in, lots of cortisol, like pumping through that. I mean,
and
like
it's
this
terrible,
meat has hormones.
Terrible for the environment.
It's horrible for the environment. And so that's why Tristan and I are such big advocates for like grass-fed, grass-finished, free-range like farm. If you can find a small farm, and I've had a lot of people message me on Instagram today about these like family-owned farms that they can ship meat to you. If you know a local farm that treats their animals well, awesome. Like support them, give them your money because they deserve it. Don't support these like mainstream disgusting farming practices because that's the problem with this country. That's the problem with our agriculture and our environments is this unsustainable cruelty-based farming. Several in Heber. Oh, Louise, I need some names because that'll be wonderful. Redmond is like that too. We really like Redmond.
Redmond's pretty good, but they could be better.
I'm trying to read here. Do you have a ratio of animal to plants you like, meaning 70%? So it depends on the person. I don't think like if you can do more plant-based proteins and it feels good and you're not bloated and you're not gassy and like your body can handle that, then maybe it's like 50-50. You know, or
honestly, it entirely depends on your specific needs. Some people who have a lot of inflammation, a lot of high acidity in their bodies, they might do better on more plants for a while. People who are struggling with low energy, with weakness and fatigue,
leaky gut,
they might do better on more animal-based products for a while. It's very variable. But if you're a healthy person already, then really the idea is just variety, right? You want tons and tons of vegetables. And then from there, it's just get some good fats, get some good meat, get some good whatever it is. Try to avoid refined stuff. And if you do that, you're going to be in good shape.
So what you guys haven't noticed yet, because we haven't hit spring and summer, hold on, sweetheart. Meal plans are going to change drastically when it starts to warm up because I'm trying to have people eat in season. So back in the day, our ancestors ate bone broth and meats and stuff because you could store it, right? It was very easily dried and stored. And so when it comes to spring and summer, lots of salads, lots of berries, lots of celery juices and that kind of stuff. So you'll see that the meal plans are going to start shifting and changing because the season's going to shift and change. I will try to incorporate more beans, more lentils during the spring and summer. I should do that right now, actually. But there's a lot of people, but like there's a lot of people in the program that can't handle the beans. And so again, the program is more catered to a healing restorative program versus a maintenance program, but it still can be a maintenance one. What you can do if you're in maintenance mode is do the super simple menu plan and then fill in the gaps and just make more salads, more bean stuff, and so on and so forth. So do you like ratios of animal to plant? No, it's just individual. If I'm training for a 200-mile bike race and need protein for recovery, what would you suggest is the best way to get immediate protein after workout? I've heard it's best for protein shakes after because it's immediate recovery.
So first off, the research on that is not as firm as you would believe in terms of timing on the protein.
Yeah.
There is evidence that it doesn't matter when you get your protein in, it's still going to benefit you for recovery. That being said, if you need immediate protein after, then my recommendation would be a collagen of some kind, versus your whey proteins or your vegan proteins. You know, the more real, the less processed, the better. But that would be kind of the best backup source.
Yeah, exactly.
And they do make some collagen-based kind of drink powders that you just toss it in water, so it can be super convenient.
So there you go. Any other questions, concerns, comments, you guys? Anything you want to see? Was this Q&A helpful? Let us know. So funny. I feel like we have become like, okay, so pre-workouts, you guys, a really good pre-workout is juiced beets, actually. That's like your best pre-workout that you can do. So if you're working out, maybe juice it the night before if you want.
Yeah. Beets will help your body produce, I'm going to say it wrong, nitrous oxide, which your cells just love. It helps with vasodilation and all kinds of stuff. So it's a really good pre-workout that's not a stimulant. Because 99% of pre-workouts out there
are all stimulants.
It's just stimulants, caffeine, and some synthetic B vitamins that they kind of get you revved up. You don't need that.
We should think about, like, why are we trying to force our bodies to do a workout that it can't do naturally on its own? Like, that's a perfect, like, equation for thyroid burnout. You know what I mean? Like, not thyroid, I mean adrenal burnout, you know? And so, so naturally you have an opinion on that because I saw your eyes move.
I mean, I have mixed feelings on it because, for instance, something like hyperbaric oxygen, that allows you to perform at a higher level and therefore to gain faster. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. But using unnatural chemicals, stimulants in order to make us feel like we're doing more. Once again, I don't think the research is quite as solid on that as people want to believe in terms of it doesn't necessarily improve your performance, but it sure makes you feel better.
Yep.
And it does give you more confidence, which can result in certain gains. But if you're eating well and your body is responding well to the foods you eat, you're going to have enough energy to do these things without needing that spike.
That leads to our next question. Can you work out with all these inflammation and thyroid issues? So within reason, yes. So if you find that you are working out and you're just exhausted, like for the next few days, you need to back off because let's think of the body and your energy metabolism as like a bank account. Let's say a healthy person gets $100 a day. 20 of those dollars is for healing and repairing. Another 20 of those dollars is for digestion. And let's say $40 is for working out, right? So that's 20, 20, 40. And then $20 is just like maintenance and what else? Okay, now let's say you have a thyroid disorder and that thyroid disorder only gives you $60 to work with. So can you see how exercising will start to put you in a deficit? Because now you're utilizing resources you don't have, and so it's taxing on your body a little bit more. So what you need to do is try to figure out how many dollars you're getting a day and work within that. Because I think exercise stress, as long as it's you stress, it's good stress, can be helpful. If you're exercising and your body is dealing with the thyroid disorder, is dealing with inflammation, because remember, inflammation in your body probably is like $40 a day. Remember, and you only have like 100, and you still need to have like $80 to do all the basic functions, right? So inflammation takes a lot of energy. Thyroid disorders takes a lot of energy and dollars, right? Money. Sorry, our kids are here. So when it comes to exercising and thyroid stuff, you want to see how many dollars you have left over. Yes, still create healthy stress, but make sure it's healthy stress and your body doesn't interpret that as unhealthy stress.
Yeah.
Will you hold the phone because she's trying to climb over me?
So right along with that, in order for your body to benefit from exercise, it needs to be capable of going into an anabolic state. And when I say anabolic, I mean a building state. It cannot do that if you don't have all of your ducks in a row, so to speak. So all you're going to do if you are working from an energy deficit and forcing yourself to work out, yes, you're going to notice improvements as far as your dexterity goes. You'll get better at the exercises because your brain's getting smarter and more capable of doing those. But physically speaking, and in terms of the actual physical gains that you're trying to accomplish, it's not going to happen. So if you are majorly sleep deprived, if you have too big of a caloric deficit, if your thyroid is all wrecked or your HPA axis is all a mess, the exercise isn't doing you any good. So you first have to get to the root of what's going on with that energy bank account, address that, and then you can start increasing your exercise so that it actually benefits you.
So I'll give you guys an example of when I had Graves' disease, which is a autoimmune thyroid disorder. And I don't think you guys realize it was bad. Like, I thought I was dying. I'm 5'10", and I was about 110 pounds, like 110 or 113 pounds. Like, I was as skinny as a rail, and I wasn't sleeping, and it was bad. Anyways, I remember I took a 5-minute run, and I was sick for like a week. So I couldn't even exercise. So what I did though was, it was bad. But what I did was I recognized, when you have Graves' disease, there's tons of cortisol like burning through your system. And I remember thinking, I need to burn this cortisol off somehow. And I know I can't do cardio because again, my resting heart rate was already 120 beats per minute. So doing any kind of cardio was like gonna take that to like 180, which is very dangerous. So what I did was I took 5-pound dumbbells and I did like bicep curls, and I did like 5 to 10 bicep curls, and then 5 to 10 tricep curls, and then I did like 5 to 10 squats, and then I did like 5 to 10 crunches a day.
What's a tricep curl?
Tricep extension. You little smarty pants. Oh my gosh.
I'm just curious. Maybe it's a move I've never heard.
You're so sassy. Thanks for calling me out. But that's all I could do was like little minute workouts. And then after like a couple months, I could do more. And then after a couple months, I could do more. And so you really need to be extremely mindful of where is that happy medium of stress, of healthy stress. Because for some reason, when as women especially, and I'm just talking from my experience and what I've seen, is we pop out babies, we have immune disorders, getting back our pre-baby bod, and that's just not fair. You know what I mean? Like that's not fair to our bodies. Our bodies are like, wait a second, I'm malnourished and I just grew a human for you. Chillax, like give me what I need and I will figure this out, right?
So that being said, we're not letting you off the hook if you are in that position. You still need to move.
Yes,
it's just a question of
so
how
good.
intense that movement is. If all you can do is walk around the house for 10 minutes, do that.
Yep. I'll try and find my picture. I only had one picture taken of me when I had Graves' disease, and I'll post it because there was like a before and after of 12 months. So this question, a couple years ago, I was overstressed, overtired, not eating well, and way over exercising, and I'm pretty sure that's what pushed my body into autoimmune disease. I have been trying to repair for years. It's hard to come back from. That's absolute, like that happens all the time. You have no idea how often that happens to people where they like, how many of these exercise gurus who are macro counters and those body workout shows. You know what I'm talking about? Where what are they called? They're not the beauty shows. They're the bodybuilder shows. They do the macros, which is bad food, but they're counting calories, and that's great. They do the bodybuilding workout, and then 5 to 10 years later, they are hit with weird diseases and autoimmune stuff, and they're like, I have no energy. I can't exercise. What happened? You know, it's like, well, the past 10 years happened. You know, like our bodies weren't designed to work like that. And so we just need to be mindful. Am I missing? I was thinking of doing some low impact cycling. I think that's fantastic. Cycling is really easy on the body. And
just pay attention to how you respond to it. If you'll know if you went too hard.
Yeah.
You'll also probably know if you could have gone a little bit harder, and you just want to find that happy medium.
Honestly though, I have found when it comes more to thyroid, and this is just from experience, clinical experience, women tend to do better with more weight training with thyroid disorders than cardio, because cardio actually utilizes a lot of oxygen energy, so mitochondrial energy,
which is rough if your thyroid's not doing its job quite
because your the thyroid hormone literally is the hormone that tells the cell how to utilize energy, right? So if you are doing cardio that utilizes a lot of oxygen energy from the mitochondria, and I always say oxygen energy because energy is created through glucose and oxygen, right? Through that Krebs cycle. And so So just be mindful of that. Maybe doing some weight workouts might get you going because when you're building muscle, you actually grow more mitochondria, and more mitochondria means your ability to create energy goes up versus cardio that actually just utilizes energy. So
it does help you get more efficient at utilizing energy,
yes.
but not in the same way.
And especially if you're at a deficit because of slow thyroid. So play around with that. That's obvious. And again, you guys, this is just from clinical experience. Just because this is a pattern, it doesn't mean it's a pattern that's going to fit your body. So we're not the experts on your body. We're experts in patterns. You're the expert in your body. So take what we say with a grain of salt and then experiment.
Yeah. And then, so Carrie says, I run for my sanity. I just hope my body can keep up as I increase. So when you run, people often have a goal, like I want to do this half marathon or I want to do this number of marathons this year, depending on where you're at. I can't stress enough the importance of just, once again, listening to your body and not pushing past something that you know you shouldn't push past, because we have a lot of friends who are kind of competitive runners or cyclers, and every time they cross that threshold, they know they injure themselves, and then they can't do it anymore. And so they go from, this thing that is really, it's important for their sanity. It helps them to just deal with the rest of life, and it's taken away from them. And that's the worst thing in the world that could happen. So be gentle with yourself. It's definitely okay to push, but know how hard to push and
variety
know when to back
is key.
off.
Like, I think you will find, Carrie, that cross training will make your running even better, so that you're working smarter and not harder when it comes to getting more miles in and getting faster. I don't know if those are some of your goals, but again, like maybe alternating, like joining like a boot camp or something, that can be very therapeutic because you will have the community aspect as well, and the and all that. I do cross train. Oh, that part. Okay, awesome.
Good.
Okay, so I'm going.
Jumping
in late. Waking up in the morning often feels like rising from the dead, even after a solid 8 hours. I need to do some work on sleep hygiene, nighttime screens mostly. But is there a simple way to tell if this is hormone related? Yes, doing a spit cortisol test.
Well, the cortisol test will tell you if your cortisol rhythms are off, but it's not necessarily going to solve all the issues, because thyroid hormones can also be a factor there. Sex hormones can also be a factor there. There's a lot of stuff that goes into sleep. I think this week's podcast is on sleep, right?
Sleep hygiene,
Tuesday. So the first thing I always do when people don't feel like they're getting good enough sleep is I want to see if they are having good sleep hygiene.
Sorry,
people,
guys. Our
you'd be
kids.
amazed at what people are capable of getting used to in terms of sleep interruptions. Just because you're able to fall back asleep doesn't mean it's okay that there is something in your environment that is constantly interrupting your sleep. Because if you're familiar with the sleep cycle, you'll kind of go into deep sleep and then you'll come out very briefly, then you'll go back into deep sleep. And as the night increases, you spend more and more time in REM sleep, which is where you dream. And if either deep sleep or REM sleep gets interrupted, then you lose a whole cycle of that type of sleep. And your body needs a good hour, hour and a half of each every single night. So you want to check the environment, make sure there's nothing there. And then if you want to go deeper into it, there are lots and lots of sleep trackers out there. Some of them even you can just download an app on your phone and then you put the phone on the edge of your bed.
How's that for EMFs though?
It's for the
Because
sake
I
of
wanna talk
testing. It's
about
fine.
that.
It doesn't have to be connected to the internet to do it, so it should be fine. But the important thing is that there are ways to track your sleep, and it'll actually help you visualize where the interruptions are if they're happening and how deeply you're getting into sleep. I've got this Oura ring right here that I use. It goes into airplane mode, so there's no EMFs, but it can still record. And every morning I can actually see how much time I spent in deep sleep, how much time I spent in REM sleep, how much time was in light sleep, and then how much time I was awake.
So
and
that would
tells
be a
me
good
a ton
start.
about my sleep quality. Yeah.
Yeah, like I would say maybe invest in that. Let's see how your sleep quality is. And another thing is, you guys, when unplugging things, putting things on airplane mode, switching off the Wi-Fi, all of these magnetic frequencies can keep your body awake. Like it makes your cells work harder. And so nothing is really fully shutting down and relaxing. So that could be another reason why you still feel like you're waking up, you know, rising from the dead, is because of these EMFs just bombarding you all the time.
Yeah.
And so, so I would try that.
There is a lot that goes into sleep, though, and at some point we're going to do a whole month-long course just on sleep because that needs its own boot camp for sure. But kind of the key with it is, yes, make sure your environment is taken care of. Check your sleep timing. Are you going to bed really late and then, you know, trying to sleep in, and that's the issue? There's a lot, but reach out to us if you have specific questions about sleep and ways that you can potentially improve the quality or quantity of your sleep. We're definitely happy to answer those questions and help you out there. Okay.
Let's see. Our autoimmune thing, weight training is also best for us. Cool, Jasmine. Thank you for chiming in with us. I'm sorry, you guys. My daughter, it's like as soon as the phone comes out, like it needs to be on them. What am I missing? I use Sleep Cycle. Cool. Does that include a baby monitor? Yes, it does. So I'm going to ask Ryan, but actually go to Test My Home on Instagram. So it's at Test My Home, and ask them what the best type of baby monitor is, and they will know. Sorry, my daughter, while she was climbing on me, like poked me in the eye. So that's why my eye is red. I'm not emotional, I promise. So baby monitors, Tris, they do require some kind of, if you can get the radio kind versus like the video monitor kind.
It's the same,
is it the
2.4
same?
gigahertz. Yeah, it doesn't make much of a difference.
Okay, message Test on Instagram at Test My Home. Ask them, just say what's the best baby monitor, and
He'll probably tell you don't need a baby monitor.
Really?
Yeah. There's compromises in life, okay?
Yeah.
You're not going to be 100% on this,
No.
and that's okay. You have to pick what's most important to you. Pick your battles.
Yeah.
So if you just need to have that baby monitor for your mental sanity or for your baby's needs, then do it. It's fine. Don't worry. There's
you
lots
could
of
also
other
put
places.
the baby monitor though, like on the other side of the room. You know, so it doesn't have to be right above the crib. So if you're just getting it like to hear sound, like put it on the other side of the room. Also, did you guys see on my Instagram saved EMF stories, the white noise machine, how horrible that is for EMFs? So a good alternative for that is to get like a cell phone, put it on airplane mode, and download one of those white noise apps.
There might be white noise machines that use an electronic
Sound?
white noise instead of the
It's
mechanical
the fan.
spinning.
It's the
So,
fan that emits like
yeah.
a massive EMF. So don't do the fan white noises. Do more of an electronic sound.
And not one that's connected to the internet because
Right.
that has its own issues.
Yeah, no, like you want to try and do as little internet as possible. Any other questions or okay, guys, did we answer your questions? If we didn't, say something now because we want to make
Well,
sure.
You also know how to get a hold of us.
Oh, yeah, and you also
so
know how to get a hold of
you
us.
have plenty of opportunity to ask us questions.
Exactly. So, anything else, guys? Thumbs up if we answered everything. Thumbs down. Can you do a thumbs down if you didn't answer
No.
everything? I'm like, okay. I mean, they could do like the emojis.
But I think it's time for us to eat anyway. So
Oh, good, Katie. I'm so glad.
let's
The
see.
prep videos are super helpful. Okay, I will keep them then. Prep videos, which ones? Like the bone broth one? What prep videos? I'm trying to remember.
Could be the prep videos that you do for the weekly planners, or it could be
The weekly
bone broth.
planner ones? Let me know which ones you're talking about. Yep to which one? I'm sorry.
The bone
I
broth?
think there's
Yes,
a
the bone
delay.
broth. Bone
I
broth.
think there's a delay one.
Bone broth. Yeah.
The bone broth. Oh, okay. Okay. So I will do more videos like that then. You know, I should do more videos on like the spices that we use, things everyone should have in their cupboard or pantry. Do you guys call it cupboard here?
Yep.
Okay, in the cupboard, so you know what I'm talking about. I still have those moments where I use South African terms, and I never know if they're South African or American or whatever. Other questions, guys? Or are we good? Awesome. I'm so glad, Katie. Tristan, anything?
Nope.
You guys
I'm
have
hungry.
an awesome week. You guys are phenomenal for listening, for learning, for trying to make changes. Listen, and you guys, again, I say this all the time. When you implement a change in your life, you're not going to get it right and you're not going to keep it 100% the first time. That's okay. Practice makes perfect. That's why we do this thing over and over and over, because you're practicing, all right? Like recreating your baseline in nutrition takes tons of practice. So I hope you guys are really gentle with yourselves, all right? I hope you recognize that what you're taking on in this Gutsy Health journey, this gut restoration program, like I hope you guys realize this is huge. This is massive. Like pat yourselves on the back because this is awesome. And it'll start to feel easy and intuitive later. And then you'll turn into us where you get excited that you're going to Natural Grocers and that's like the highlight of your week. Just kidding. You're not going to be like that. Because there's more exciting things in life. So, all right, we love you guys. Message us if you have any more questions. If you, Katie, if you like that prep video, if there are more prep videos, like say, can you show a prep video on this? I will do it. Can you do a prep video on that? Can you show us what your pantry, just say it and we'll do it, all right? Because we want you guys, oh, yep, Tennyson's showing you his gum. All right, good night. Happy Sunday.
Night.
Happy Sunday!
He's so cute.